Okay, I'm live and I am going to be doing game dev stuff. Um, which it's always I don't expect much of a turnout today. So, we'll see who actually makes it to chat. Um, we're going to go right into the clickbait title. Mysterious what's this whiskey thing that you use to make beautiful maps? Um, that's the clickbait. I just drink some whiskey and make some maps. Um, we're kind of trying some format adjustments. I'm always playing around with my YouTube stuff. Um, but like there's always these times, these occasional periods where there's like, oh yeah, I really need to try something different because what I'm doing is not working. So yeah, so we're trying some new stuff, some minor things. This time I've just adjusted the thumbnail. Trying some. I'm always playing around with titles, trying to get something that catches people's attention. But it's it's a work in progress, I guess I would say. It's just funny because my previous stream, which was actually streaming games, which usually perform okay. I mean, I'm still a tiny channel, so I get like 100 something views. It's usually around 120 views on average, I would say, for those kind of videos whenever I stream games. Usually ranges somewhere between 120 to like 200 views. But unfortunately, my last stream actually got less views than like a game dev stream. So it's like, oh shit. Uh, don't know what happened there. Oh, well, anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna play around with some titles, thumbnails, and stuff like that, and we're gonna see if we can't at least get the perk back up. Hopefully, the goal would be to have more viewers, because you gotta remember to do that like, subscribe, comment, chat thing, because, yeah, that helps the channel. And we're trying to get it monetized, but I don't think it's gonna be... I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. I see the music's quite quiet. Turn that up. Oh yeah, okay. Alright. So anyways, so I wanted to show off some stuff that I have going on in my game. I really don't get a lot of time to work on my game, unfortunately. So as a result, I don't make that much progress, but I do think since last time I did a game dev stream, there's definitely been a lot of progress. I think last time I did a game dev stream, I didn't even have a map for the level yet. So I do have the forest level. The mapping is mostly done. Only some events have been placed. So it's just really the tiles have been placed. That's really it for the major sections of the map. There's a couple of smaller maps I need to make. Like here, there's this connection here. I need to make the map that would be in this place here. And this one as well. There's a connection here, but I don't have what would be to the north there. And I think same thing here. Yeah, there's a connection here. I also don't have the map that would go north of there yet. But the main parts of the level are done as far as mapping goes. So, Yeah, one thing I've wanted to do is try the. It is supposed to be a forest. I want it to feel kind of like this dense forest thing. So, what I've been playing around with is maybe doing a little bit of parallax mapping. Everyone's favorite. So, I still mostly work. So when people use parallax mapping, a lot of times they use just like you know, an image, like almost the entire game is rendered using layered images instead of tiles. But I didn't want to go that route. I still am mostly relying on tiles. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is wholly unique. There are definitely some games who also add parallax layers on top of tiles. And that's kind of what I've gone with here. I just wanted to do something that would be easy to set up. So the goal is to like make the parallax layers within about, I'd say, 40 minutes, give or take. So I've added just little bits of detail, but it's more just to give some depth and to kind of emphasize the foresty nature of it all. So, you know, you have some nice bright crepuscular rays shining through the trees here to give them a little bit of depth. One of the other things is whenever it gets shady, there's a subtle shift in the tone. It gets slightly darker over here, just a little bit. And there's a little bit of work done on this road here as well. And when it comes to in the our red lake here, I have just a little bit of shading to kind of make it look like it has like a little deep area here and a more shallow area. So just a little bit of parallax mapping there to add that depth to it. But actually, this is not the like extent of it. After this was like the first map I did it in, and I have mastered a few more techniques to help improve the detailing. This is another thing, is that this is an event right here. But I added this shadow through the parallax mapping right here. So there's a little shadow being cast by it. There's some other stuff. There's like ambient occlusion. Just some subtle ambient occlusion like right around here. You get some darker areas around like the corners of things where light might bounce around a few times, making that area a little bit darker. But like I said, I've implemented more complex parallax mapping. I think this is probably one of the better examples. Here we are. So it's really starting to get that real foresty feel to it. You know, it feels really shady. You have these kind of leafy elements here that are sometimes let rays through, sometimes don't. So it kind of casts these complex shadows. So you get some of that. We still have a few of the crepuscular rays. But since it's shadier, there's obviously not going to be quite as many. And then here you can see there's like some work to kind of blend these tiles into each other. There's some better use of that down here. You can see this just blends so much nicer. It doesn't look quite so tile-y. Yeah. Oh, but there is that. You definitely can see it. Like if we look at this tree right here, we can see how the shading cuts in and out when I cross this grid right here. I don't know. I don't know why it does that, honestly. I played around with I'm using Galv's layer graphics, and I've played around with my settings on it, and I just cannot seem to figure out why that happens. And it only seems to be happening for one of the layers. The upper layer seems to be getting culled for some reason, and I don't know why that is. Whenever I cross this line here, when I cross this line, it culls it, and then it brings it back in. I do believe the event itself that calls it is like somewhere around here. So I think it gets culled like as soon as it's out of screen, right? But it's weird that it only culls the upper layer, but the lower layers and like the leafy layer do not get culled. Also, it doesn't cull it when I'm above it. When I'm north of it, like all the layers persist. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'd really have to, I guess, investigate that some more, play around with it, see if I can't figure it out, see what's going on, but yeah. Yep. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. One of the other things I set up, I guess I want to talk about this real fast. What I'd really like to do during the stream, actually, is just kind of work on a parallax layer and kind of show how I do that. Knock out two birds with one stone. I can do my stream while I also do some work on my game. However, I do want to take a moment to show off a new feature in my game, which is fast traveling. Mr. Dan RCX usually talks about how important it is to have fast traveling in your game. And I agree to an extent. I've always been kind of one of those weird people who doesn't really like it whenever there is fast traveling in some RPGs. Like, I would rather you know, travel normally to where I'm going for immersion reasons. It also just makes you feel so much more connected to the world when you have to actually travel between places. So I'm usually the kind of person who prefers that kind of thing, like no fast travel. However, I do understand, especially like, take for example, playing something like Skyrim, Oblivion, whatever, any large open world games. And it's like, you go to one area, and then to do a quest, like way on the other side of the map, and then it's like, holy shit, I forgot to, you know, grab this item all the way back on the other side of the map. In cases like that, it's like, oh, thank God, I'm glad I have fast travel. I can just jump over there, and then jump right back to where I was. I'll use fast travel like that. However, I just don't like how over-reliant some people become, because you just feel like the world is not quite as connected. A lot of that's kind of beside the point, too. I don't know, I just wanted to go on a soapbox there for a moment. In my game, it's sort of funny. So if we go to the first level that I made, the Seas, oh, you can't even really see it because I've already replaced it with the new fast travel system. There used to be like a little crystal that was right here, and this was been there since the very beginning, and it allowed you to select different areas of this map because it's really quite massive. And therefore, it was a fast travel network. It would allow you to jump to certain points. You'd unlock the points as you explored. Pretty simple stuff. So that was already here, and I felt that was necessary because, for a few reasons, the main goal, really, of this level is to get to this boat so you can actually, like, freely travel through the sea. And for complicated reasons, I need to reset the boat back here every time you enter the level. Not when you like change maps within the level, to clarify. Like any of these maps that are in the level itself, that's fine. But if you leave the level, such as going back to town, then I need to reset the boat. Hey, Miss Gristle is here. You kind of joined one of the more boring streams, but hopefully you can liven it up a little bit. Always glad to have you here. I got a little bit of lime rind in my mouth. Or not lime rind, I guess it's lime pulp. Anyways, so, for complicated reasons, I need to put the boat back here every time you enter the level, and therefore it's important to be able to fast travel back to the boat should you decide to leave the level and then come back in. So I already knew to use fast travel in this, in this level. I even had set up a shortcut, and here, so like you get this, you can find a rope item, and then in this level, and then you can use the rope item here on top of this cliff, so that way you make a shortcut down to the lower half of the level here. So I knew that I should give routes and options and fast travel nodes to allow the player to navigate quickly, but for whatever fucking reason, I didn't do that in the cave level. And yes, lime. We're drinking the same mixed drink that I had during my birthday stream, which is whiskey and Sprite. That's because I actually can't find sweet and sour here. I don't know how it's labeled or what it looks like, or even if sweet and sour even exists in Japan. But sweet and sour is basically lemon lime juice, and so Sprite is a good replacement, a good substitute. But I don't like Sprite by itself. Throw in a little fresh lime. Now we're talking. So that's what I'm drinking, is whiskey, Sprite, and fresh lime. Anyways, so this is something I worked on quite a bit. Is I set up a fast travel system in the cave. In the cave level. So this is actually thanks to Mr. Testosterone Wind Rider himself. I was generous and gave him early access to a very incredibly busted build of my game. I told him that, you know, the build that I gave you is not really meant for like public playtesting, so you're gonna get soft lock. But he played it anyways. And one thing he mentioned is that, wow, navigating this cave sucks. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. It made me think about the fact that, you know, I think the cave level does a lot of really cool and neat stuff. And yet I ignored some of the stuff that I did in the very first level I made, the seas here. And that was, in the seas, I was smart enough to give the player plenty of tools to quickly navigate this level. But when I made the cave, I guess I was so caught up on making cool puzzles and stuff that, oops, I kind of forgot about, you know, providing shortcuts and a fast travel network and all of that. I kind of know why the fast travel thing didn't exist, is because it would sort of break one of the main aspects of the cave, which is that some of the routes that you can take in the cave are meant to be one way. So if you can fast travel, it kind of breaks the whole one-way flow. Like, let me show you here, for example. Let's start with the right side. Visky, nice to have you. So, okay, so the flow of the cave is, this will be kind of your main chamber, and you have a left and right side. For now, we're going to go ahead and pretend that we're taking the right side. So, when you go to the right side, you'll come in here at this room, and then you'll be able to cross the lava here. And when you cross the lava, you will not be able to go back. That is intentional. This is the one-way design of the level. So now you have committed to this choice, and now you are stuck on this route. And that will persist, obviously. The main goal now is that you're going to Visky and Whiskey. Great combo. Yeah. So, you know, the main point originally for this level was for you to navigate your way to here to get the key. And then, because it's one way, now you have to navigate your way back to this area so then you could take the other side. That was the main point. And this was the reason why I didn't want fast travel in this level, was because it sort of breaks that design. However, upon further consideration, I realized I don't really give a shit, because there's a fun fact, a fun speedrunning technique that I was already aware of when I made this, is that the way that I handle death in my game is that you get taken back to the town whenever you die, right? So you are pulled out of the level, and then you go back to town, and if you want to continue the level, you'll have to navigate back there. So here's the speedrun strats before I introduced the fast travel network. You would take that right path. This is one way, right? So you take this path, and then you'd go as far as getting the key. Once you get the key, now you can go back to any enemy and die. And effectively, by dying on that enemy, that'll bring you back to town, which will skip all of the puzzles and stuff for navigating back to the central room here. So I could find some sort of solution that fixes that, although that's sort of fundamentally a problem with the game. I would have to make radical changes with the game's rules itself, like how to handle death and all that, in order to make that work. Or I can just accept that fact as it just being an ugly truth of the game, and realizing, well, if they can kill themselves, I might as well just provide them tools to easily navigate this place. So with that conclusion, I decided it's fine adding in fast travel points. The answer to why they might want to do the navigating back to the central room instead of using fast travel points is because they'll be skipping out on rewards, obviously. There are chests and rewards that you would get along the way if you take the path back here. So, like, let's go back to this room. So this room, you'd take this door, and that would take you over here to where the key is. And then from there, you'd go up these stairs and navigate this way, which would bring you to this room here. So this room would eventually take you back into this room, but you'd be up at the top, and then you'd come around here, and then you'd go down here, and that will bring you back here, right? Makes sense. So you'd have to actually do all of that to be able to access some of the chests, some of the rewards. So if you decide that you do not want to do the north part of the map, that northern route, the upper part of the cliffs, you are skipping out on the rewards that you would be able to get. Honestly, now that I've said that out loud, I kind of like it even more, because it's kind of been a general philosophy of the game is play how you want. If you want to skip that content, that's totally fine. You're also going to skip the rewards, but hey, I'm not going to stop you. So, anyways, so with all that justification out of the way, I can show off my fancy new fast travel system. I'm quite proud of it. I think it still needs a little bit of work. It's still a little bit janky, but overall I think it's pretty cool. So let's just set the player to start here. And I want sound for this because I did some sound work on it. So I'm going to pause the music for a moment. We got to turn the sound back on in the game. And we need to navigate to some switches. Oh gosh, I used to remember where the switch is. I already forgot. What is it? Oh, it should be... Here it is. Okay. So, this is the entrance of the level. So, I've conveniently added the navigation point right here. So, it's a pretty simple design, but I think it's pretty eye-catching. A little bit of sprite work, I guess you'd say. And you can hear that there's a little twinkle. Barely. No, not really. Maybe now you can hear it. And it has directional audio on it, too. Right? So, then you can step right on into it and then watch the magic happen. It'll probably lag, which will make it less magical, but that's okay. There it is. You'll have the tutorial pop up. This is a transfer event. Fiddle can use transfer events to quickly navigate across the map. New destinations will automatically unlock as she discovers other transfer events throughout the level. Where's Fiddle going? And then you have all your choices there. And you can hear how the sound has changed too. So, we're already in the cave foyer, so we'll just select left. Oh, we were looking at the right ribbon earlier, so let's go to the right ribbon. And there we go. And now we're in the other area. I mean, it's pretty standard fast travel at that point. The thing that makes it unique is... Excuse me, the sound design. It's quite loud, huh? What makes it unique is the sound design and just the visuals of it all. And to show this off, this is the regular sounds, the menu sounds. And then when you step on it, like that. So then we can go to, how about the loser's corner? There we go. There's one more aspect to this, which is the restores fiddle position, which is one of the more unique parts of this fast travel system. Plop goes fiddle, yeah. I think it would be, how do I want to handle this? Yeah, let's go back to the foyer. We gotta do some hacks here. And we need to find this one, cave progress. I think I can just set it to 3, but I'm gonna set it to 4 just in case. And then, if we navigate to... damn it. Wait. No. I need... Is there... I think this is the variable. I don't know. I'm gonna set it to 10. I don't know what it's supposed to be set to. I don't know if that's right. I'm gonna see if this works. Hopefully I set it up right. So obviously I set the cave... I skipped the intro by messing with the variables there for the cave. So that worked successfully. So let's say I'm going to the cave. And I am just doing my regular old gameplay. And I'm going to skip this fight here. And we'll go into this room. So I've navigated all the way here, and then there is an enemy down here. You can see there's the... where is it? Maybe you can't see it. Where? Why is it gone? There it is. There's the enemy down there. Alright, so let's say I were to fight that enemy and then... oh no! I died. Oh gosh. Hopefully if I set the variables right. I did not set the variables right. Damn it! Fuck! Alright, so basically what happens is there's a checkpoint system. So every time you switch maps, it will set a checkpoint for where you last were on the map. And then when you use that restore Fiddle's position, you know, like I said, every time you die, you're brought back to the town, right? So what I realize is that it'd be really, really unfortunate is that you are brought back to town and then you have to navigate through a whole bunch of shit you already did to get back to where you were just because you died. Now, there's a reason why it was designed like this in the first place. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I am just saying, like, it would suck to, like, you're brought back here just outside the door there. And then if you want to get back to that room that I was in, first we need to open that up. So to get back to that room that I had died in, without the restore Fiddle's position, you'd start here, you'd have to navigate to the exit here. That would bring you into the west corridor and then into the foyer. You'd go up through the foyer to here. That'd bring you back to central. In central, you'd take this door. That'd bring you into the left side. You'd walk from this side all the way up here, over to here, through here. And then you'd finally, oops. And then you'd finally be back in this room, which is the room that I died in. It's quite the headache to have to navigate all the way back there. So the restore Fiddle's position thing will checkpoint you, and you can just use that, and it will just drop you off at wherever it was that you last died. So, hooray! It saves a whole bunch of time navigating. I'm sure there would be some people who ask, well, if you're gonna allow them to just jump right back to the room where they died, why not just, like, I don't know, not make them respawn all the way back at town? Why not just make them respawn at the beginning of this room or something? And there's a reason for that. And it's the reason why I bring them back to town in the first place. Like, I bring them back to town for good reason. And that's because the design of the game. The design of the game is that I want users to, one, interact with the town. I don't want you to interact with it all at once. It's kind of a in and out kind of thing. Like, you come into the town and then you interact with a few NPCs and do some stuff around town. And then you go to a level and you do some work in the level. And then what I really want is that when you die in the level, you say, okay, well, I got blocked there, so I'm gonna go to a different level and maybe go make some progress there, and then I'll come back to that level and continue it later. So by bringing them back to town, it will hopefully encourage people to partake in that. They might just say, okay, well, I wasn't able to make any progress there. I'm going to go see what's going on over here. And maybe they die there, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just go see what's going on over here. And each time they might play around in the town a little bit and make a little bit of progress here. However, I am also well aware there are going to be some strong-headed people. There's probably going to be a lot of strong-headed people who are like, well, fuck, I died over there. I just want to get right back to it and continue what I was doing. And they're going to totally ignore the town, and they're going to totally ignore you know, the other levels, and they're just gonna, like, full steam ahead, try to get back to where they were. And if that's what they're gonna do, I don't want to have to be an impedance to them. It's just like, fine, if that's how you're gonna do it, then go ahead. So I'm giving them tools to be able to play that way. And that's the Fiddle's restore position thing, or restore Fiddle's position. So, but there is something neat about that restore Fiddle's position. So, this is a little bit loud in my headphones. Seems fine for you guys, though. So, there is something unique about the restore Fiddle's position, is that, so it is a checkpoint system, and it checkpoints based on the rooms that you enter. So when you enter a room, it will checkpoint you there. However, that checkpoint is unique for that level. So again, encouraging people to go and explore other levels. It even says this in the tutorial. When you select the restore Fiddle's position, there's a short little tutorial prompt that'll say that each of these checkpoints are unique to the level, so feel free to go to another level. You're not going to lose your checkpoint in this level by exploring another level. So yeah, each of the checkpoints are unique to their own level, so if you go into the cave and you explore around, you die, that checkpoint in the cave will be saved, and you can go to another level, and it has its own unique checkpoint, and so if you die there, that checkpoint will be saved. You can go back to the cave and jump back to right where you left off. So, yeah, frictionless. Getting the player back to where they want to be. So, yeah, I think that was really kind of the major thing that I worked on kind of this past month. I'm pretty proud of it. There's some other stuff I did in the cave to help navigating as well. The main thing was adding the transfer points. There's one more note on the right side path that I was showing. So originally, the whole puzzle to the right side path was that you're supposed to figure out the puzzle without actually interacting with it. And I think this was actually really, really unfair. So basically, all the puzzle elements are on the top half of the level, like above the cliff, and all of the elements that actually move the puzzle parts is on the lower part. And so the goal was to figure out what you're doing. And I give you enough information, like, let me drop the player here. So you can see there's this switch here and this pond here. This is the first puzzle, so it's meant to be easy to kind of show the player, like, here's what you're doing. I have the audio turned on. Okay, so you'd go over to this switch and the camera jumps over here, right? So you can see what you're interacting with. I don't hide that from the player, but for all the puzzle elements, you have to kind of figure out, like, oh, this switch does that, and this switch does this. How do I need to move these switches? Like, what is the goal, I guess? Like, you'd try to figure out, like, okay, I can fill up this pond, but why? Why do I want to fill up the pond? So I guess it's kind of like trying to observe what the solution to the puzzle is. That was the main idea. However, the way that I handled this is with jump down points. So you'd come to these little sparkles, and before you would activate the sparkles, and they would allow you to jump down, but it would be a one-way trip. So as punishment for not realizing what to do, I would make the player have to jump back down to the previous layer, or to the lower path. The problem with this, let's experience this in real time. Let's say, let's pretend, actually, let's just refresh real fast. Okay, so now I haven't actually done this puzzle piece, right? This is not activated. So let's experience this in real time. So you enter from the left corner down there. You're over here, right? And you grab this fish. You have the fish now. And don't worry, at this point, you already know what to do with the fish in this level. And you decide, I'm going to go right. And then, if you're a smart little cookie, you have picked up on the fact that I use these tiles here to indicate where you can throw a fish. Technically, you can throw a fish anywhere you want, but that's not going to get you anywhere by throwing it there. So those tiles indicate, like, this is the place you want to throw the fish. So, you decide that you're going to walk over here, and you see that you can throw the fish here. Well, you do that, and then you decide that you're going to go this way. I hope you've seen the problem. The player has never even seen the switch that they are supposed to activate. So now they haven't activated that switch. They're going to solve this puzzle in here. This is pretty easy. They just kill the enemies that are there. Which would actually activate a platform here, and that would allow them to... Oh, that would actually activate a platform here, here, and here, which would allow them to access that exit. That exit would allow them to access some more puzzle pieces to another puzzle. We don't need to look at that right now. So let's just say they've already played with that, and then they go this way, and they move on. Now they're in this portion of the map. They grab themselves a fish. Come over here. Throw the fish. Fortunately, they do have the fast travel point there. This exit here would take them to where the key is that I already showed. Let's pretend that they went over there, they did all the stuff, got the key, and now they're back over here. They know that they need to go this way. So they play around with the puzzle element here, figure out where they need to go. And it's actually... Yeah, that's actually where it needs to be right now, but it doesn't matter. So they figure that, they go this way, and then they cross over here, and then now they are in the upper half of this route, the top of the cliffs. So earlier, when I said there's like that path would lead to accessing some puzzle elements, that would be this room. So they would have these puzzle elements down here that they can interact with to solve the puzzle up here. And this is actually a pretty tough puzzle, especially if you cannot actually see what you're what the goal is of this puzzle. So, if you failed to set this puzzle up right, then you would have to jump down here. Again, remembering that this is a one-way trip. So you'd jump down here, and then you could play with these switches some more and try to set it up where it needs to be. And then, because it's a one-way trip, you can't just go right back up to where you jumped down. You'd have to go here, go through this room. That'll bring you back here. We already saw this one, and then you would have to go through all the way back around again. So you can see how that's already frustrating. That's quite the punishment to make you have to go all the way around just for this one puzzle. And to play around with the switches, you may not even know the answer to yet. So you would get another chance to play around with the switches and filling the tanks with water. But if you don't know, you might just be guessing, and your guess might be wrong, and you'd have to do it all over again. But let's say you finally solved it, and you get yourself across to the other side. Great! We get to the other side. Navigate our way through here. This little elbow bend. And now we're in this room. I'm gonna kind of walk on the cliff to avoid the enemy, but we can pretend I'm up there. And, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I forgot to flip that switch because of the route that I took never even showed me that switch. So now I can't go this way because this is not filled. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to go over here to this one-way trip down back to basically the beginning. And so everything I just walked you through, you would have to go through again. That is one fucking hell of a punishment for your fuck up. Do I want to punish the player for fucking up? Yes. Do I want to punish them that bad? No. Not at all. So that was kind of a critical flaw of this dungeon's design. So, what I've done instead is I've taken notes from the C's. As I was showing earlier, the C's level has little shortcuts that you can place. For example, I was saying here, you can get a rope and you can build this rope down from the top of the cliff and go down. And that creates a little shortcut from the lower part to the upper part. Well, I took some notes and I did that. So now, on all of those rooms where there was a one-way trip, it's no longer a one-way trip. It is, if you find the rope or ladder, you can use that rope or ladder to create a shortcut. And then with that shortcut, you can go back up or you can go back down. So that way, you're not completely punished for not knowing what the goal of the puzzle was. So, there we have it. Oh gosh. There's another thing I wanted to talk about as well. Man, I'm not going to do any parallax mapping. No, that was, you know what? Let me see if I can show this off really briefly. And, no, I refuse to pretend. Wait, what? Nice to have you here, by the way, Trid. Yeah. But what are you talking about? Oops. So let's go up here. I can show this off real fast too. Oops. I was holding down the collision altering key. There we go. So we got the ladder. It said rope. That is incorrect. This is actually a ladder. So you take that ladder over here. Oh, I can put a ladder here and make a shortcut. Play sound effects. And there we go. Now you have a nice little shortcut to go up and down to fix your mistake. No problem. So the other thing I wanted to talk about real fast, let's try to get through this really quick, is I changed the enemy behavior. Shortcut. Yeah. I changed the enemy behavior. I think to most people, anyone who played my beta test, this is going to look more or less exactly the same. But it is actually significantly different, and it has some important changes to it. So, first of all, enemies exist within a region, like using actual region tiles. When you step into that region, they will pursue you. Region ID that the enemy existed in was absolutely key to their behavior, because I was using a region ID check to check where the player is. So if the player is within that region, in, you know, like, message delay is crazy. Yeah, yeah, it can be sometimes. So it would check if the player is in that specific region, and it would make this specific mob pursue the player. However, now that's not necessarily important. I still use the region ID to use one of the items in the game. Yes, it did lose its context. That's why you'd need to tell me what you meant. I'm curious. So anyways, but now it is no longer dependent on that region ID. Instead, it's actually using a player touch event to change their behavior. And when you touch it, it changes this one's behavior, and will make it into a pursue. And then when you step out of the region, it changes back. So as far as players are concerned, this looks exactly the same. This functioned exactly the same way as it did before. This isn't changed at all. What has changed is that before, in order to activate the fight with the enemy, before it was checking the X and the Y position for both the player and the enemy. When the player and the enemy were on top of each other, a fight would start. So in order to do that, the enemy needed to be a parallel process. What I wanted to do, however, is the problem with that actually is that before you would like, I don't know, it's the way that the grid movement works and the speed at which it checks the X and Y position is what would happen is you are here on top of each other, technically speaking, as far as the game is concerned, you are on top of each other. However, because of how the grid movement works is you're already moving off the grid, or maybe the enemy is moving off the grid, and so it looks like you guys pass through each other. Like, you know, one of those epic samurai moments in anime where they like swoop past each other and then you wait and then one goes, gah! Right? It'd be kind of an event like that, where you just like glide through each other. And I just hated this. It just looked kind of jank. So I switched it over to a event touch event. Event touch event? Yeah, I guess that's what it'd be. So now, there we go. It's when you guys are facing each other that it just triggers the battle, which is just so much better. It looks so much nicer. Now, there's also something that this helped me out with. I could have done this with the old-fashioned way that I had previously set this up in the game. However, because all of the logic was attached to the enemy specifically, the enemy event specifically, all of the like battle logic and stuff was attached to it, it would be a real mess to have to like, you know, if I need to troubleshoot an enemy or change anything, you'd get this event list that's just like miles long. If I wanted to include like some sort of random encounter, like make it so that each battle, every time you touch the enemy, it would be a random enemy. So that would, well, it'd be a real hassle to have to deal with. So I never wanted to add like making the battle random each time. However, with this new logic, it doesn't need to be attached to the event. So I moved it into a common event. And like I said, technically I could have still done this with the old system. But while I'm cleaning up the logic, I was like, well, fuck it. Let's go ahead and make this, let's fix this as well. So now, basically, whenever you start a fight, it's no longer scripted in the sense that it's always going to be this specific fight. That's not the case anymore. It does have some logic built in there. I'll cover that in just a moment. But now it works like a regular random battle. You bump into the enemy and a random troop will be selected. So there is some other logic here that's built into it. First of all, it will prevent you from doing the same battle twice. I don't have that many troops, and so it's not out of the question that you could start one battle, do that battle, and then the next battle be the exact same. And I don't want that to happen. So there is just some logic there to make sure that you don't do the same battle twice in a row. Additionally, there is other logic that's built into these enemies that basically, in every map, I have what would be like the tutorial troop, because each level has some unique enemies that have some unique buffs, debuffs, mechanics, whatever, that I want the player to know about. There are like these tutorial fights that will just be low stakes, just 2 enemies, you know, like here are the 2 unique enemies of this level, and hopefully it's in a safe environment for the player to learn what's unique about these 2. That's the tutorial fight. That needs to be scripted. So basically, the way that it works is that you, no matter what troop you encounter first, it will always play that tutorial fight first. Whereas before, the tutorial fight was scripted, like, oh, this is going to be the first enemy that the player encounters, so this will be the one that has the tutorial fight. Not anymore. Now it's just a random troop that gets picked. However, if it's your first time bumping into this enemy, it will be that tutorial fight. But if this is not the first enemy you bump into, if it's this enemy here, that one will have the tutorial fight. Or if it's this enemy here, that one will have the tutorial fight. So, yeah, there's some logic built into it to make sure that you will always experience the tutorial troop event first before you start getting the random encounters. Some other stuff, like when we were looking at the cave event here. So one of the items that you get in the cave is the chisel and hammer, which allows the player to build statues, decoys, in combat. It's a single actor game, right? And so a lot of, in regular combat with a single actor, all the damage is focused on the player. So having just even a second actor that does absolutely nothing but tanks a few hits, you know, really helps out. So you're able to build a statue to kind of act as a decoy in combat. So, specifically in the cave battle event here, there is one troop event that will that is like, it has a lot of enemies in that single troop because it's meant for the player having the decoy. The goal of this troop is you have a decoy. That's why there are so many enemies here. You can use the decoy to distract some of the enemies so you aren't taking a fucking pummeling from all the enemies in the group. So, but this troop will not activate until the player has that chisel and hammer. So that way you're not getting swamped by this troop that you are not prepared for. So yeah, I did a lot of refreshing on the enemy logic. This took a long time because, well, I had to manually replace every enemy event that I had already built in the game. This is why you should probably plan some more stuff at the start of the game. Although, sorry, I'm saying that I should have planned more, but I actually did. I did a whole bunch of testing with different enemy behaviors before actually starting my game. It's just that I was also kind of dumb and didn't really understand RPG Maker very much, or plugins, and so I built what I could. And so late into development, I decided to completely change that. It's kind of a pain in the ass to set these up too. This new system is not as copy and paste as the old system. There are at least 4 events, there's at least 5 events in total to make this work. Obviously the enemy, but then you have an entering event here and here, an entering on one side and an entering on the other side, and an exiting event on each side as well. Depending on how many ways you can enter the enemy's territory, it could be more. It could be 2 on the left and right side as well, which would double that to 8 events total just on the outside. And then all of these events need to be assigned appropriately. There's also many event pages for each of the different ones. I'm using remote self-switches here to turn on the switches. So this script just changes the self-switch of this event here to change it to the correct page. So, yeah, it's a real fucking pain in the ass to set this up. Plan is nice, but can't always anticipate everything that goes on during execution. Yeah, That's true too. Yeah. The thing is that the, you know, samurai crossing through each other, you know, suspense kind of thing that I was talking about, that bug before, I had been aware of that since basically the beginning. And at the beginning, I should have just been like, well, that's not good enough, I need to find a better solution. But I didn't. Instead, I just said, nah, whatever, it's fine. But nope, that continued to bug me throughout the progress of this. And then later, it started bugging me that the actual battles were scripted. That started bugging me as well. I wanted them to be more random. So finally, it just kind of came to a head where it's like, no, fuck it. I'm rewriting this. And so I went through every enemy event, and like I said, it takes a while to set these up. These ones are nowhere near as copy and paste as before, because before I had set up these region events, right? You have I just have like Mob Region 17, right? That's what this is. You can still see the name there, Mob Region 17, and I could easily copy and paste as long as the region ID is the same. I can just copy Region 17 from one map into Region 17 of the new map, change what battle happens, and that's it. It's really quick, just copy, paste, done. And of course change the battle. This is nowhere near that. You're gonna set up all these fucking events. Oh, and this is only possible because I have a hitbox plugin, of course, that extends the hitbox of the events. You know, if you didn't use something like that, you'd have to set an event for each one of these tiles, which would be a fucking nightmare to have to do. So, thank God for the hitbox thing. Oh, this is another thing that I have to keep track of. So, hang on, we gotta pause the music again. I need to turn on sound so you guys can hear this. So actually, you might have just saw it there at a glance. I have, because sometimes the enemy might be off camera or whatever, or just maybe they're blending into the background, maybe the player's not paying attention, whatever. There's an alert sound that lets you know, hey, you entered the enemy's territory, you're being pursued. You can see that here, the option is not set up correctly, enemy alert sound. It's technically enabled despite it saying disabled. This is actually disabled. I know, it's backwards, I'll fix that later. But anyways, yeah, you can turn that off if you don't want the alert sound. But anyways, oh, it's actually disabled, never mind. What the fuck? Did I fix it? Yes. So, before, again, the system that I had working for playing that alert sound was built into the enemy event. It had some logic there to handle this. So as long as this event was present on the map, it would play that sound. And then if the event is not there, when you enter the region, it's not going to play the sound. Makes sense. But since it's no longer a parallel event with the new logic, that doesn't work anymore. Instead, that sound is no longer tied to the enemy event. It's tied to when you enter the region itself. You can see here, there is the sound effect that plays when you enter the region. Ah, but here's the problem. After you defeat the enemy, that enemy is no longer here, right? It's been deleted, it's been erased, you defeated it, it's gone. But what happens when you enter the region again, even when the enemy's not there? It plays the sound. So that's a problem. So there has to be additional logic here in the enemy. So after you do the fight, it erases the entry events. So these events get erased after the fight. And that way, by erasing them, obviously they're no longer going to activate. You also may be wondering, So this... There's so much problem solving. Game dev, am I right? So this is all tied into a common event, right? That was one thing that I really appreciated about this, is that I could simplify all of this into a single common event that I could just call on those events. The problem is everything in the common event needs to be exactly the same. It needs to account for everything. However, these are very specific. The common event is for general things. The actual event is for more specific things. So if I want to do something specific, like erase these specific events when this event is defeated, then I need to like not use a common event for that, right? All of the win and defeat logic is here in the battle event itself, of course, right? So see, you go into battle, you jump to the battle win section, jump down here, here's battle win, you run the battle win common event, and then in the case of the cave, this turns off the little like fire effect, the lighting around the enemy. Unfortunately, there I cannot specify erasing these specific events if you won this specific battle on this specific map. I mean, I suppose it's probably possible through scripting to do that, but it would be really tedious, and it would be no different than just adding it here anyways. So, here, it doesn't account for whether you won, lost, or ran. That's because if you won, obviously we need to erase it anyway, so no big deal. It will erase the events no matter what. If you lose, you get brought back to town, and since it's only erasing the event, it's not a permanent deletion of the event. It needs to respawn anyways, so it's fine if it gets erased, because since the player is going back to town, it needs to reload the map, it's going to respawn the events, no big deal. And if you run, well, if you run, you kind of need those still there, right? Because if you run, that means the enemy still exists. So you still need the alert sound when you enter. Ho-hum! How to handle this? Well, I had already been planning to do this, but this kind of helped to create the impetus to commit to it. Running has been removed from my game. There's a reason for this. I had been thinking about this already. So, my game provides you plenty of ways to avoid combat if you don't want to do combat. Number one, it's not random encounters. It is on-map encounters, so they are visible, and therefore you can avoid them if you are patient enough and skilled enough to navigate around them. So that's number one. You can already avoid them just by default. Number two, one of the items that you get is the lightning rod. When you use the lightning rod within an enemy territory, it will stun them. And by stunning them, it will slow them down. They will still pursue you, but they will move really, really slow, making it very, very easy to avoid them if you enter the territory. Number three, one of the other items that you acquire is the magic wand, we'll call it, which allows the player to change into a fox, which is basically your sprint, dash, whatever mechanic you want to call it, makes the player move faster. So now the player is moving faster than the enemy, so it's easier to avoid the enemy. So you can just outright avoid them because they are on map, you can slow them down, and you can move faster. So I have provided ample tools within my game to avoid encounters. Therefore, it is kind of insane to even give the player the option to run from a fight. At that point, it is your fault. Like at the beginning, you don't have those tools. I kind of get it, but also at the same time, at the beginning, you should be doing fights anyways. It kind of naturally makes sense, right? As you complete more of the game, you don't really need to do as many fights, And that's okay. You have the tools to start avoiding more fights. And by the end of the game, you have all the tools to avoid the fights. And so at that point, you're farther along in the game, and so it's a lot less necessary to do fights. So it's kind of a natural progression. I like it. So there we go. You cannot run from fights in the game. Therefore, the only thing that can happen is either you win the fight or you lose the fight. Either way, it's okay to delete the entry events whenever you encounter this event. Problem solved. Alright. That's all the stuff I'd been working on. Let's do some parallax mapping, why don't we? That was one of the things that was the main mission of today. So I've been working on these parallax maps for my levels. We can see a completed one here. Actually, there we go. There we go. That's the right. Nope, still not right. There we go. That's the right one. So we can see the before and after if you really want. Here's the before. Here's the after. Before. After. So yeah, it had some nice detail. So, what I want in the forest... Let's see, do I have this file? Let me see if I can find this. Oh, it's not in that folder. Let's see. We want to go to tiles and go to the forest. And here we go. We're going to look at this picture here. So, this is all of the maps that make up the forest. And if we zoom in here, it's actually tiered is how it works. So, it's actually a 3x3 grid. So we have row 1, row 2, and row 3 here. So, and each row goes higher or lower depending on which way you're looking at it. So here at row 3, we can see there's the cliff here. And so this is the lowest point in the forest in row 3. Then we can see there's some stairs here. That brings you up to row 2. So row 2 is somewhat higher. And so this is row 2. Taking a break, laundry, no problem. I'll probably be here. And then here we can see some more stairs. There's this cliff that goes along here. And that cliff brings you up to row 1. And row 1 is the highest point in the forest. So what I really wanted to kind of convey in this forest is that, like, this is the lowest point, so it needs to be darker. And then this one's slightly brighter, and this one's the brightest. That's what I really wanted to accomplish. So we can kind of see that going on here. I'm not entirely happy with this, but I don't know. It's probably fine. You can kind of see it being conveyed here. So, like here, it is slightly lighter than down here. I can prove that, even though it doesn't look quite like that. If we look at this one, we can see the mask right here. So the mask is basically this lower part here. I can turn it on and off. There we go. You can see that area. So you can see this one's opacity has been set to 60%. Makes sense. This one is the top part up here. Right? There you go. You can see it being turned on and off. And this one's opacity has been set to 30%. So technically, yeah, this one is lighter, this one is darker. I may adjust these values later. I think this is plenty dark enough. So maybe this is not light enough. There's not enough difference between the two. I don't really want to make this too much darker because otherwise it's going to be too dark. So this needs to be lightened up, I think. So, yeah, this is what we're working with. Now, since we've had some people join since the beginning, When it comes to the mapping, the goal of this parallax mapping is not to create something absolutely beautiful. We're not trying to do Wind Rider kind of stuff. What's the guy that helped him out? Pufferfish, who does like a whole bunch of like off-grid doodads and a whole bunch of like lighting effects and stuff like that. That's not my mission here. If I were to put that amount of effort into every single map on my game, the game would never get finished. That would be a huge bloat to the scope. Nope, I want to add the parallax maps, but I don't want to bloat the scope. I do have to increase it a little bit by doing the parallax maps, but the goal is to do them quickly. So the goal is to basically be able to put in enough detail within about 40 minutes, give or take. Now this, unfortunately, because I wasn't aware that, first of all, I wasn't aware that having odd numbered maps in both vertical and length, vertical and horizontal lengths of the grid make it easier. Wasn't aware of that fact. But second of all, since I also didn't originally have plans of doing this in the first place, obviously I didn't design my maps with that in mind. So unfortunately, it doesn't take exactly from beginning of like doing work for parallax mapping to the end. I think it takes about an hour, but 20 minutes of that has to be spent on, where is it? There we go. On making adjustments to the grid. So, coincidentally, do I still have the picture open? I do. So, the cardinal directions of the map are coincidentally already an odd number. That was not intentional, but I did want the cardinal directions to be larger. So these are 55 by 55 each. So the east, north, west, and south maps each are 55 by 55. I don't need to make any adjustments there. Great. I don't remember. I think the middle map, I think it's different. In fact, actually kind of just at eyeballing it, comparing it to this map here, it definitely looks like it's smaller. So, yeah, I don't remember if I used an even number. Doesn't matter. Anyways, these are 55 by 55. I don't need to make any adjustments. However, the diagonal directions, northwest, northeast, north-south, Jesus, southeast and southwest are 50 by 50. And unfortunately, that means it's an even number, which makes setting up the parallax mapping just a little bit complicated. So, like I said, we have to spend about 20 minutes making an adjustment to that. So this is the map that I'm currently working on here. This is the next map I need to do, and I haven't even started it. So if we go here, we can already see that it's 50 by 50. So I need to adjust it to 50 by 51. There we go. So now, this is the hardest part. This is why this takes me like 20 minutes, is because of my tree clusters. In order to make this forest look more like a forest, I want it dense trees. However, because of the limitation of the number of tiles per grid, it's kind of hard to make a really dense forest. So what I did is I took the tree tiles, and I brought them into Photoshop, and I clustered them together into their own single tile. So basically, I put a whole bunch of trees into like a single tile. We can see that over here. Like, let's just look at my E page, and you can see here, there's like all these trees here. So this makes it really easy to have like really dense forests. Unfortunately, now if I don't want any errors in the tile, I need to like try to see the pattern in how I've laid out the trees and try to continue the pattern into the single tile that I've added onto the map here. So first of all, we have the cliff there, so let's just get that out of the way. We know that's there. So we'll put that, and then we'll put this, and there we go. We have the cliff. Oh, actually, I should have started with this first. We need the grass. There we go. All the grass is there. Hooray. So now we need to try to look at the pattern in the trees and try to figure out which one should be going here. I'm pretty... in fact, actually, at the northern and southern borders of the map, I definitely use my biggest tree cluster, which is by 16, I think, and it's repeatable as well. So, because, yeah, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so it actually continues again down here, so it's by 16. So, we have to look at the pattern. So we can see, like, a little bit of this pink tree right here. So I think this pink tree is this one. So I actually think it's starting here. So let's check. Oops, it's still on fill. Like that. I know it looks like it's wrong, but I'm actually pretty sure that's correct, because there's actually a pink tree in front of this pink tree, which makes it kind of look mismatched, but actually if we were... But I'm pretty sure that's correct. So now we need to look at this next one. Actually, I am familiar with my tree clusters pretty well, and I know this is not my 16 by 16... 16 by 16... 16 by 5 tree cluster. I think this is this tree cluster here, which is the 4 by 4 by 4? 4 by 5 tree cluster. So we have 1, 2, 3, or is it 5? No. So, yeah, there's that, and then there's the pink tree there. So actually, we can add our own tree right here. It can be anything we want. So I'm going to add one of these big trees, like this. There we go. And then here we can see one of these big green trees right here, and I believe that is my 5 by 5 cluster. So we have the big green tree, and then we have the left side of this pink tree, so I think we're right here. So there we go. We filled it in. Next, I think this might just be a single tree. I think. So I just add this in. No, that doesn't match. So what could it be? Maybe it's the 5 by 4. Yeah, I think so, because it has a pine. It has the pine tree in front of the oak tree. Oh yeah, that's definitely the... Yep, there we go. Next, we have the pine tree, a pink tree, and then part of a pine tree. I do believe that's going to be my 3 by 4 tree cluster, which is here. We have all of this, right? So we need this little bit that's down here at the bottom. There we go. All right, and then this is the 5 by 5 tree cluster here. So we're going to add in... Looks like we're just missing the last part of it right here. Oops. Oh. Huh. Oh, is there another cluster? What's going on there? Looks like there might be one more? Like, that matches with this, but there's another part here that's not matching. What's up with that? So we have a pine in front of the oak, so I think it's this one. It's my 4 by 5. Yep, sure is. And then we add that one in. There we go. So we've at least finished that part. Now we can go down below the cliff. We have the road there, so let's continue the road before we add in the trees. Actually, we can just shift right click. There we go. Welcome back, Miss Gristle. Alright, so now we can see we have the pine in front of the oak, so that's going to be our 4 by 5. And we're going to put that right there. There we are. This is where shit starts to get really complicated. When it gets really dense. Like, this is not too dense here, so it's pretty easy to see the patterns, but sometimes it's so dense with trees that it's so hard to see where the pattern is that it can get really tough. When is the game coming out? I don't know. I don't have fucking free time anymore, man. Actually, it's really fucking killing me. You want to have a real talk? Man. Something has got to give in my schedule. I have no fucking free time. Which is why I'm pretty happy that during this stream, I'm doing my weekly stream. I'm sticking to my schedule, but I'm also doing work on my game by doing this. I'd really love it to be out next year. Hopefully, you know, around summertime. But I don't want to make any promises. There's absolutely no promises here. That's not a commitment to saying it's going to be out in summer. Nope. Do not hold me to that word. That's just a hope. But I can tell you, since the beginning of this game, I have hoped that it would be finished in originally 7 months, and then originally in 12 months, and then in 18 months, and then I think it was kind of at the 18th, when I missed the 18th month mark, that I was like, okay, yeah, never mind. We're not going to be hoping. We're not going to be announcing. We're not going to be making plans around a release date anymore, because it's not happening. It will be ready when it is ready. So, did that one match? See, it throws me off. That pine tree there didn't align, but the pink did align. Actually, it looks like there's a green. Huh. Maybe it's supposed to be... No, it can't be that one. Maybe it's supposed to be this one. Yeah, that's the one. Alright, and then we can see an oak tree there. Oh, no, wait. Okay, no, that oak tree is finished. Okay. So this right here looks like the 5x4, and then this is the start of a different tree cluster. We have the pine, a big green, and a pink there. Pine, big green, and pink. That would be like... I'm not really sure. Yeah. This is the shit that throws me off. What could that one be? Oh! See, I think that pine is throwing me off. I don't think that's actually part of the cluster. I think the cluster is this one here. We have the pine, the oak. So that's going to be the 4x5 here. So that one should be like that. There we are. Ooh. Oh, this is a river. So that river needs to continue. Let's go down one more. Yeah, there we go. It goes there. We need the little river plants. Just like that. Alright, so this was like one of my 16s right here. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't really do much of the real talk. I mean, I basically said that, like, I don't have free time, but like, this is my schedule, right? Obviously, I have my own regular day job. Then I have a second job that I do in the evening. That provides, you know, it's not a lot of work, It's very, very part-time, but still, it's like another 10, maybe 12 hours a week, which is, in the evening, in addition to my day job that I already have. Then, on the weekends, I have my girlfriend here. And, I love her, but when she's around, I really cannot get any work done. Not to mention, I don't want to be impolite. I don't want to sit here and just, like, focus on my game and completely ignore her. But even if I did, I can't. When I am working on my game, I really prefer to, like, give it 100% concentration. And it's really hard to do that when she's around. So I don't really work on it during the weekend. So, what I have been doing for the past, I don't know, month, maybe more than a month, is, first of all, fortunately, my Tuesday evenings are free. So I'm so thankful for my Tuesday evenings. I still have my day job, of course, but my Tuesday evenings are free. No part-time job there. And so Tuesdays are I'm gonna come home from work and I'm going to do nothing but work on my game. That's that kind of day. Except that doesn't always happen because sometimes I'm just so goddamn exhausted that it's like, never mind, I'm spending this day doing nothing. But if I don't do that, then I do work on it all day. But then also on the weekdays, after I finish my part-time job and have dinner and take a shower and basically get ready for bed, I enjoy having a drink. Usually beer, actually, not whiskey. Sorry to spoil the title. Usually it's beer. I'll have a beer, and late into the night, I will work on my game, and then regret my decision the following morning. But oh well. It's all in the name of love of the craft. Wake up feeling miserable because I stayed up late working on the game. But if I don't do that, then I would never ever have time to work on it otherwise. Which, by the way, maybe some of you have noticed that basically in all of my past streams, I mentioned that I'm pretty tired by the time we get to the last game. And now you understand why. Saturday, I forgot to mention this too. My girlfriend usually comes. My girlfriend also works hard, by the way. She works a lot of overtime at her job, and she also works Saturdays. Usually she arrives, in the afternoon, but that doesn't mean I have my mornings free to myself. I do have a little bit of part-time work that I do in the mornings, but also I have my Japanese lesson on Saturday morning. So actually, my Saturday mornings and noontime are busy as well. So I just don't have a lot of time, and that's why I'm tired, folks. I'm tired. Feels having a tight schedule and no free time also means there's no time for just, rest and do nothing. Yeah. So I will admit, there tends to be times, like I said, occasionally on some Tuesdays, I'm too exhausted from, I guess you'd call it crunching on the game, that even though Tuesdays are my days with the free evening, I don't actually do any work on the game because I'm too fucking exhausted. But sometimes, actually, this has happened maybe 1 or 2 weeks over the past couple of months where it's like I was just so exhausted that I couldn't do any work on the game at all that week. I just wanted to sit back and play a game. That was my last week, actually. Not the whole week. I think Tuesday I actually did some work on my game last week, but I think Thursday and Friday I still stayed up late, but I just wanted to play a fucking game, man. That's the thing is, like, I have no free time at all, and what little free time I do have, I'd rather spend it working on my game. So as a result, I really haven't played any games either. So I just really wanted to play a fucking game. So I think it was last, it might have been Wednesday, actually. It might have been Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I was like, nope, I want to play a game. So that's what I did. I played a game. I stayed up during my crunch time rather than actually crunching, working on the game. I crunched and played a game instead. So, being an adult sucks. You know, it's funny too, right? Because, like, I'm super busy, and yet I'm also super poor. You know, you'd think that with such an exchange of all of your free time, you'd at least have money, right? That's the transaction, your time for money. But somehow, some way, despite being busy during all of my time, I still don't have money. God, being an adult sucks. What are we looking at here? We have a pine in front of an oak. It's this one. No, we already wait. Oh, okay, that one's finished. So we can do a new. We'll do one of these big ones. Yeah. We have the big green, oak, pink, and pine. So I think it's this one. There we go. This one's the beginning of one of my big 5x16 ones. So we have the two greens, followed by pine. There's the tip of this pine, so that's going to be this one here. Yeah. That's another reason why I need you guys to subscribe and chat and comment and like and all of that obnoxious YouTube stuff, because, you know, we can get my channel monetized and it'd be nice to have another stream of revenue. Even though I can guarantee you that even if I do get my channel monetized, the amount of money that I'd be earning would be so incredibly small that I probably wouldn't even actually feel a difference. But we would be one step closer to getting to that point where I would feel a difference. So, you know, baby steps, one thing at a time. We can't just jump straight to earning, you know, thousands of dollars off of YouTube. We got to start with the earning a pittance on YouTube first, and then eventually maybe I'll be earning, you know, tens of dollars, and then maybe hundreds of dollars, and then, you know, I'm not gonna be the next Mr. Beast, but maybe earning $1,000 might, who knows. Subscribe, damn it. Actually, the subscription doesn't matter. It's all about views, engagement, and getting that click-through rate. This is gonna be part of the 5x16. This is the start here. I always start the 5x16 with a pine. So we have the pine right there. Two greens. There's the pine. There's the pine. We have a big green right there. I think it's here. Yep. Again, we can see the pine there. Two greens. Yep. What the fuck is going on here? Okay, I see. There's the green, the oak, or sorry, the pine in front of the oak, the pink there. It's gonna be this one. Oh, but I think that's the whole thing, so we can just put whatever we want here. There we are. The bottom part is a lot easier as well, so we just gotta get to that bottom part. I think this is the start, so it's gonna be here. Oops, that's not right. Yeah, there we are. And then we know that it's going to be this. And this. And this. Rotate back and forth between these two until we reach the edge of the map. So, like I said, this is the much easier part of the process. Looks like that's 4 over, so... 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. And there we are! So we fixed my mistake on this map. Now it is an odd number in both the X and Y axis, which means we have an exact middle coordinate to work with. A perfect origin, I guess you'd say. So we're going to set the player here, so we can use map shot. Go. Take the map shot. Does it look like it's darker here? Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I think when I was testing out the Parallax stuff, I was originally testing it on this map. So I had already set up parallaxing. I set up a parallax map on this map. Yeah, you can kind of see it gets much darker down here. So that technically means I already had... Well, anyways, I needed to make that adjustment. I think the existing parallax map that I have of it is not going to work very well. So we needed to make that change anyways, make it an odd number. We're going to do this properly. So first, we're going to bring it here. We're going to go to the 51 by 51. I want to create the folders. I keep this shit organized. You can see we have the... I know it says 21, 13, and 33, but actually what this should be is 2-1, 1-3, and 3-3. I just don't bother with the dash, because, I don't know, I'm lazy or something. So this is going to be 31. We're going to create a folder. Then we're going to put it in there. We're going to call this one Details. Bring in map 3-1. There we go. And we're going to make sure that it's beneath the details folder, but not in the details folder. Now, with my previous map that I worked on, I didn't realize this while I was working on it, but when I drag and dropped the map into Photoshop, I was actually off by a few pixels. Usually it snaps it to the middle perfectly, but I guess I might have just been just far enough out of the way of the snapping that it added just a few empty pixels on the corners, the right side and the bottom of the map. So I just really want to double check to make sure that I don't have that, because I didn't realize that until I was finished with the map, and then I exported and just saw this weird like area without any I just saw this thin line with no parallaxing. I was like, what the fuck, what went wrong there? And then I realized, oh fuck. So yeah, it looks good. There's no problem, so it should be perfectly centered. So then next, what I'm going to do is, I just want to bring in the previous map's details. So I'm going to take all of this, and we're going to duplicate it. And then we're going to drag it into the details folder of 31. You can hide 33. Obviously, everything's totally fucked up. That's fine. The reason why I did that is because some of these have these color overlays on them, and I just don't want to have to reset up the color overlays for these layers. So now I have all of that, but we're going to go ahead and erase all of the stuff that's on these. So let's get a nice big eraser, sweep it across, make sure everything's erased. Go to the next layer and erase all of that. Go to the next layer and erase all of that. Go to this layer and erase all of that. Okay, and that's the ground layer. We can just disable that. The flower layers are kind of unique. I'm not going to do that. In fact, I actually probably need to completely replace these. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete these. We don't need those right now. Factory shadow does not need to be erased. Actually, what it needs to be is moved to where it needs to go. So we have the factory there. So we just need to move the factory shadow and align it with the actual factory. It should be there. No, there. Yep. Okay, there we go. We've aligned the factory shadow. Next, we're going to take this layer, and actually we're not going to erase it. We're going to use the brush, and we're just going to fill in everything. I actually use the eraser, so this is just a dimming layer, right? Just kind of dims it, adds a little green haze to it. And then we're going to punch holes into that for the areas that we want to brighten up. Since this area is so dark, I've disabled light shafts in the previous folder that I copied this from. That's because it's like so deep into the woods that there really shouldn't be any crepuscular rays. The light shafts, the god rays, whatever you want to call them. And I think that's going to be the same here. But just in case, I don't see any rays, but just to be sure, we're gonna go ahead and sweep the eraser across it anyways, just to make sure. And there we go. We're set up to actually begin work on this. Nope. Sorry, I forgot about the flower layer. Where is that? I think it's here in my... Yeah. So, just if you're curious, this is the flower layer that I layer on top. I actually find it strangely beautiful. So this was just actually a brush that's in Photoshop that I have that I just kind of sweeped it back and forth. There's some gaps in it, but I kind of liked leaving the gaps there. So yeah, that's what it is. So I'm just going to, drag and drop that onto here. There we are. And we're going to set it to multiply. And for the darkest part, we're going to set it to 60. Here we are. Why does that not seem right? Is it multiply? I mean, this doesn't really matter. Oh, it said to subtract. It should be multiply, actually, because there is no subtract available for filtering. So multiply is actually more accurate. Which probably means I need to fix those other fucking... God damn it. I need to fix the other maps. The preview in Photoshop is not going to be accurate. They're technically fine. I could export them as they are. It's just that it's not going to look exactly the same as it did in Photoshop once I bring it into the game. But yeah, actually this looks much nicer, but also it feels a little bit too dark. Oh, it should be above the, sorry, below the above layer, like that. So it gets a little, brings in a little bit more green. That was one of the things that I was missing. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna leave it like that for now, anyways. So I'm gonna add a mask to it, and we're gonna bring in a black brush, and we're gonna make this the lower tier down here. So what we need to do is erase the top part here. Like that. I'm gonna kind of narrow this down a little bit so we can get a little bit more detail around the actual cliffs themselves. I'm gonna zoom in, kind of tidy up this here. There we are. Yep, okay. So we got the lower part. Now I'm going to duplicate it. Why can't I find duplicate? There it is. And what we're gonna do is we're going to edit the mask. We're gonna make everything visible. And then we're going to make the lower part not visible. Just like this. Clean up around the cliff edges. There we are. Kind of expand the brush a little bit. Okay, good. So now we got that set up. So next we can work on the above layer. This should be relatively quick because we just need to punch holes into the green dimming layer here. So where do I want to punch holes? I get to decide that. I think for one, I always keep a nice hole punched right around the factory here. So we're gonna punch a hole there. Want to keep all this pretty dense. Thinking up here, we want to punch a hole just like that. Okay, I kind of feel like maybe right here might be nice, just right around the steps into there. Okay. There we are. I think it might help to kind of do the same for the flower layer. But what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use that exact brush to punch holes into it. So here it is. Oops. We want to make sure that we're set to... Oh, for this case, it uses hue jitter, so we want to set it to have a little bit of gray. And then there we are. We can see that it cuts through much more clearly. Almost a little bit too much, actually. We're going to add a little bit more gray to that, a little bit darker. Are. Do I want to do that here? I don't know. I'm going to do it here, though. Oops. sort of feel like this is just way too bright now. Fine. Really bring this down. Try that again. Oh, it's just... What's up with that? Oh, right. I'm going the wrong direction. Should be white. And maybe a dark gray like that. There. Not quite. Yeah, that's looking a little bit nicer. Alright. So, I think that's really the above layer. I don't think there's much else I want to do. I don't know. We can maybe punch a hole down here. Let's actually use a brush. We want our regular soft brush. Oops. White, okay. Wait, we don't want white, we want black. Yeah. Punch a hole there. Maybe a hole right there. Oh, I like to have a hole punch over the bridges. I don't know why, it just seems pleasant. And as well as we want to also use the cut a hole through the flowers as well. Just like before. You don't want this to be pure white either. There, just like that. There. Alright, so now we've punched holes through everything that we need to do. So that's the above layer. So now we're going to go to the ground layer. And I'm going to start by doing the roads. So this is a clone stamp layer. So basically it's just kind of getting rid of some of the grid-based stuff and kind of blending A tiles into other A tiles. So first of all, I have a nice map to sample from. I don't think it's that one. I think it's this one. Let me just sample this one. Oh, that's not actually in the folder. That's not it. Oh. Is it actually one of the 55 maps? I think it... No, it's not. It should be 33, yeah. Okay, it's 33. So, on 33, I want to take this, sample right about there, and then go back to this one. Alright, so now I'll take my lasso. I don't know, I'm gonna kind of do something like that. I don't know, there's not much of a method to this. It's just whatever I think will make it look kind of natural. So something like that. And then I'm going to apply a feather to it. 10 is fine. And then use my clone brush with a replace. Oh, well, yeah, that's fine. I need to be on the correct layer. That's not the correct layer. Here it is. Why do I see... Oh, that's the... oh my gosh. Which one is the correct layer? Actually, seriously, why do I see something on that layer? That's weird. 'Cause it is supposed to be that layer. What's going on? I thought I erased that. Well, fuck it. Whatever. We're create a new layer and deal with that in a moment. And it's not doing anything? What is going on? Huh? We aren't using the right tool, right? Why is there nothing happening? Ah, what did I do? It's not turned on. What is happening here? Disable these for a moment. Why did... Oh! I know why! I'm stupid! Okay, I'm editing the wrong fucking layer. Jesus Christ, Nolan. Alright, there we go. That's more like it. Okay. So, okay, on this one I want to turn off the flowers just so I can see what I'm doing. They're pretty intense, so I think I do need to adjust that. There we go. So we just take the lasso, we kind of just draw in. Actually, you know what? This is not right. Just draw in where I want to add in the detail, just like that. We're going to apply a feather to my selection, and then this. There we are. Layers confusing. Reasons why I prefer working on single layers whenever possible. I'm a layer-aholic. I use lots of layers, and it just makes organizing stuff so much easier. But yeah, when you're a little bit tired, sometimes you do dumb things. Nice thing about layers too is that it's easy to revert or undo changes that you don't like. And technically I don't need to go around this tree because it's technically on the above layer, so I don't have to do that. But I do it anyways, just, I don't know, because I just do. Don't question. Add in these little details here. Yeah, just like that. Alright, where else do I want to add details? Like here. This is looking like it could blend in a little bit better. Kind of blend it with this cobblestone. Apply the feather. This. We're going to cover up that plant there just because it looked kind of weird. There we are. This one definitely could use some blending as well. This looks quite weird. I'm not honestly sure what I was thinking with the mapping in this area. This kind of looks a little bit strange. Really don't want to touch that shadow because it is part of the ground layer. So there we go. That should be okay. Feather it. And our trusty little clone stamp tool. We are. At least blends it in a little bit better. It still looks a little bit strange, but what can you do? Alright, so now I think that's enough for that kind of detailing work, the clone stamp detailing. It's good enough for me. I'm sure there's other areas that can be patched up as well. Again, as I mentioned, this is about doing it pretty quick and just adding details where I think they should be added. If I bump into anything that I think is necessary along the way, then I can always go back and do that. But for now, I'm going to call that done. This dirt layer here is for large areas of dirt. There are none. I guess there kind of is here and here, but it's not necessary, so we're not going to use that one. Ambient occlusion is how things tend to get a little bit darker when they get close together because of occluding light. It's occluding the ambient light. So to add ambient occlusion, we just find areas where that might happen, like at corners of cliff faces here. To do that, we just add something like this, something like this, some shape like that. And once again, we apply our feather to that. That is too much. Usually I think it's a 5, not a 10. There we are. Even that is a little bit intense, but hopefully it'll be okay. And it has a color overlay, so it doesn't matter what color I use. Like, I can use this ugly orange color here, and it's totally fine. So, but I'm also not gonna lie, that is really not that much. So I think we need to adjust this ambient occlusion and the cliff face here. Something like that. And maybe make it more like a feather of 3? Yeah, I usually don't use 3, so that seems weirdly hard. I guess it's gonna work. It seems fine. After we apply that, kind of touch it up with a little bit of eraser. There we are. It's a pretty subtle effect. This is actually way more subtle than usual, but whatever, it's fine. I'm going to duplicate that layer. And we're going to drag that into any of these corners. Like this one here. That one's special. Before I make adjustments, because there's that plant there, I'm going to make a copy and move it to the other area. The next section. And then on this one, let's kind of clean up around the plant. Just like that. And that's not bad. I think that might be the only places. Sometimes it's nice to add a little bit of ambient occlusion around like the forest, because obviously not as much light's going to be getting through those areas with all the leaves. But there's no real areas that are like sticking out to me that I feel like, yeah, I really need to add some ambient occlusion there. But I do this occasionally. First, what I want to do is merge these layers down just to make things cleaner. This ambient occlusion can be deleted. So here, this is our main one. And I like to add a little bit of a subtle shadow to some of the large objects that I have. Either make that maybe like a 6. Like that. And then once again, we kind of clean it up with an eraser. There. Something like that. All right. Yeah, surprisingly, this map doesn't have like a lot of ambient occlusion work that needs to be done. It really just depends on what kind of detail is in the map. I'll add it to this stump, because why not? Oops, that was a little bit too much. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that. Added detail where it mattered. Oh, actually, you know what? I kind of wanted to add a little bit of ambient occlusion right around this dirt. Kind of get it in between these trees here. On the back there. That should be okay. All right. Yep. That seems fine to me. There we are. Oh, and that pretty much does it for the ground layer. Which means we've added in all the detail for this map. We finished the ground layer, we finished the above layer. That's it. So, yeah, like I said, it's about getting it done in a pretty quick manner. It's far from perfect. Oh, 300%. That's alright. It's far from perfect, but the goal is not to be perfect with it. The goal is to get it done quickly. So, yeah, there we go. That would be how I would make one of these maps. You know, so here's the thing. Like, I do have, like, and I showed this kind of at the beginning of the stream, too, or at the beginning of the Parallax section. I don't know. That I use, like, paintbrush to like show like shallow and deep water, but honestly it's so dark in this map that I just kind of don't do it. I don't think it's necessary because everything's darkened so much that the deep and the shallow and the deep just won't have a lot of contrast. So there we are. Looking pretty nice though. Thanks. Yeah, I think really the thing that makes the biggest difference is this little flower layer that I added. Really adds a lot to the map for like very little effort. You just drag and drop and then punch holes in it. So yeah. Anyways, that's how I've done that. It takes me about 40 minutes. You add 20 minutes for having to adjust the maps, so you know, an hour. So it's not really bloating the scope too much by doing these maps, but it adds nice detail to make them pop a little bit more. So, there we are. I really need to pee, so if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip real fast and then run to the toilet. Give you guys that view for a moment. Be right back. Back at it again. Honestly, I mean, that pretty much covered everything that I wanted to do. I guess, nah, I don't really want to show setting it up in the game itself. I mean, it's Galv's stuff. I guess I can quickly preview this. There is something I have done with my game. I don't see a lot of people do, which kind of surprises me. The few people who actually use tiles and parallaxing, you could easily set this up, and you can set up an option to not use the parallax, which would give you a graphics option for your players. If your players are running on a potato PC, then they can disable the parallax mapping to save on system resources. Which is what I have here. So this is actually the setting up the parallax right here. And actually there's an option. So if we let's set the player here. So let me just show you. Let's go to the options here. We go to visuals, and then we have map detail, which is currently set to max. So when we go to this level, we can see we have all the parallax mapping here in place. I'm going to refresh the game. We'll go to options, visual, and then I'm going to set it to low. Now, when we launch it, it looks mostly like there's no parallax mapping, but there's actually a little bit going on. This is going to be the low layer. You can see there's a little bit of ambient occlusion going on here. You can definitely see some ambient occlusion going on there. You can see that the path has been blended there. So you get a little bit of the detail, but you don't have the top layer that's going on. So this would save some system resources by not loading the additional, in this case, 2 parallax layers into RAM. So if you're on a really potato PC, you can lower the graphic settings and hopefully be able to run it. The thing is, actually, I did some resource monitoring with this, and actually, it kind of doesn't matter. I don't know, I'm going to leave the option in there anyways. It makes a little bit of a difference, but it's kind of surprising that a 50 by 50, well, I guess it's 51 by 51. 51 by 51 map is somewhat large, I would say, in RPG Maker. And a lot of people warn you not to use parallax mapping on large maps, and we're getting pretty close, and yet it really doesn't make a significant difference overall. So, it adds maybe 20 or 30 megabytes to the overall RAM utilization. It's not a lot. So it's if you don't even have 20 or 30 megabytes of RAM to spare, then it's not even a potato PC. That's I don't even know what that kind of PC is at that point. That is a super potato PC. Yeah, but I'm going to leave it in there anyways. One of the reasons is because actually I couldn't resist. Out of curiosity, I parallax map this super ultra large, extra huge, big map. It is a 255 by 255 map, I do believe. Right? It's very, very big. And that whole parallax processing that you saw me do, I did for this map. Granted, this one didn't take 40 minutes for the whole thing. This one took a couple of hours to do, but if you think about it, it was kind of like doing 4 of one of these maps together. So, a couple of hours kind of makes sense. Anyways, you hear lots of warnings. Don't don't do parallax maps for maps this large, because you have to unload all of that into RAM, and then things are gonna break because it's gonna take way too much RAM. Well, I had to see for myself. And something weird happens. Let's see if I still have the save here. Okay, yes. Oh, but it should be... Oh, right. We need to set this back to max. And this one. So, it did take a while to load, you may have noticed. I'm also opening and closing the menu. There is a delay on it. But, this is interesting. If we look at memory utilization here, you will notice that NWJS is not using a lot of memory despite having this massive parallax map loaded in. You can see it there, right here, and I'll just kind of wander around. You know, interestingly, it looks like there's some missing detail. I think that... Or is it missing? No, no, no. It's fine. We have some shadows here. We have some shadows here. Some ambient occlusion there. Kind of softened this wet layer. This wet sand. Right? Kind of blended it together. Got this light. See. This is a mistake in the parallax layer. Yeah, and you can see it's just fine. There's no problem. What's actually interesting is that this usage will spike when you load the map. So, let's refresh real fast. We'll go back to resume, go to file 3, there we go. You'll watch that the usage, like, really jumps quite a bit there while it's loading in the parallax map. But then it drops down. We can show this some more just by going in and out of this house, because this house obviously doesn't have any. And then it like really jumps up. It was up to 1 gigabyte there for just a moment, and then it's back down to 460. So it's just interesting. I don't know where it goes. Like, it clearly needs all of that memory. It was there just briefly for, once again, 1 gigabyte, and then it dropped back down. Where does it go? I don't know. But it clearly doesn't need as much RAM as we thought. I don't know. I have to investigate that some more. Unfortunately, the menu thing is really on the verge of intolerable. I don't know, but it's been a fun experiment. I think... Oh, excuse me. I think I'll keep it. Because I put in the work, might as well. But anyway, so, and that's why also, I'm going to keep the option as well, because you can use the lower map detail option to disable the parallax map on this map, and it makes a huge difference, obviously, because like the opening and closing of the menu will be much snappier. So, anyways, yeah, that was all just to kind of explain what the conditionals were that you were looking at on this map here. So you have those conditionals here that tell it what to load in. Otherwise, it's just Galv's stuff. So, anyways, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about. I'm honestly surprised folks showed up. Game dev streams don't usually do so well, but always glad to have you guys here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up for now. As far as what I'm gonna do next time is, there are some games I definitely want to play. As I was saying at kind of the beginning of the stream, is my last video didn't perform so well. I have an idea to hopefully kind of improve my video's performance. I don't know if it's something I can do every time I stream games, but we'll see. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I stream games next time. But yeah. Yeah, I'll play games next time, but for now, I'm tired, as I discussed earlier. So it'll be nice to actually finish the stream earlier than usual and get to bed slightly earlier. Catch a few extra Z's. So thank you, Miss Crystal, for joining. Always glad to have you here. You're always fun to talk to. Always have interesting insights as well. Don't be a stranger. You know, I guess I should mention this as well. We got some lovely folks in the Discord. I don't know how much of a Discord user you are. But, you know, we got Meg the Fish, Miss Little Fish in the Discord as well. I think you two make a great team, so would love to have you there. Discord links down in the description if you feel like joining. Otherwise, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for joining, and that's going to be it for now. Take care, and see you. Bye-bye.